So let's start. First thing first, you want to decide which model you want to create. So which kind of influencers you want to create, because depending on what you decide, the path is a little bit different. So you want to decide if you want to create a super realistic model, so an AI influencer that is indistinguishable from a real person, or if you want to create some fantasy model, so maybe anime style, cartoon style, or something completely fantasy, like for example an elf, an alien, or something like this. And you can create everything you want. People are making a lot of money both with real style, so realistic influencers, and also with fantasy style. There are elves influencers, there are Valhalla girls, and if you know, there are anime style influencer, cartoon style. I mean, you can choose whatever you like the most. But of course, depending on what you choose, you have to take one path or another. So let's start with the real influencer, the realistic one. If you create a super realistic influencer that you can distinguish from a regular person, you have to stay super consistent with your character, because of course it's like you are creating a real girl or a real man. So you have to stay consistent with the face, you have to stay consistent with the body type, and also with the story of your character. Also, even here, if you decide to create a realistic character, but in the bio of your Instagram page, for example, you will directly say that your character is AI, you don't have to be super precise in your generation. So if your character have a little bit of difference, maybe the hair is a bit shorter or the nose is a little bit different in a picture rather than in another one, it is not a problem, because of course you already say that your character is AI. Of course, if you decided to not tell anyone that your character is AI, you have to be perfect in the realism of your character. So you have to decide in which direction you want to go with your realistic character. You have to think also about the story of your character. A well-designed influencer have a backstory, have interest, have some peculiarity that make it distinguishable from all the others. So if you decide to go with the realistic influencer, you have to think about all of this stuff, and I will always suggest you to create something that you know and that you like, because this way is much simpler to create and to run this kind of model. So for example, if you like gaming, you can create a gamer style influencer, so that they will talk about gaming, they will dress like a gamer, and so on. Because of course, if you like gaming, you already know the slang about the gaming community. You will know what game is good, what game is trash, what is super popular right now, what was popular 2 years ago, and so on. So you can reflect that on your influencer, and it will give the influencer some depth and some knowledge, and it will be much easier for you to create content about that specific niche. If you are an athletic person, so you go to the gym, you run marathon, you play basketball, volleyball, whatever you want, you create an influencer that is a sport person too. So you already know the slang about the gym, which kind of exercise is good, which kind of exercise is trash, and so on. So always create something that you know and that you are familiar with, so it will be much easier to create content about that specific niche. And choosing a niche is the key here to make your influencer stand out, and in the end to earn a lot of money. Because of course there are people and gurus online that will tell you create a blonde girl because blonde girl are doing good always, all the time, and you don't want to waste time creating other things. But this is completely BS. I mean, If you create a regular blonde girl, there are already a lot of different AI blonde girls out there, and so the competition is very high. And honestly, blonde girl doesn't have anything particular, doesn't stand out, they just blend into the mix. You want your influencers to stand out, you want your model to rise up in this kind of business. So you want to create something very niche that you can run passionately and that can stand out. So for example, instead of creating a blonde girl, right now Arabic girls are exploding, gamer girls are exploding, Asian style girls are exploding. I mean, choose a niche and flourish in that niche. Don't go with a generic AI girl because it doesn't work. For the niche, as I said to you before, choose something that you are familiar with and that you can run comfortably. If you decide to go with the fantasy route, things are a little bit easier because you don't have to be that much consistent right from the start, and you can experiment a lot. What I mean by that? If you choose, like for example, an anime style character, or an elf style, or an alien, or a cartoon, of course it is created by someone. Of course it is AI, so if the face is not precisely 100% the same, it's not a problem. If one day your model have blue hair and the other day have pink hair, is not a problem. You can experiment a lot because you don't need that kind of precision with your model. And also you can have pages with multiple models and multiple characters on it. For example, if you know the page Valhalla Girls on Instagram, you will see that there are AI characters dressed up like Vikings, for example, and there are multiple girls, so they don't give them about consistency in the character, but you can create a lot of different kind of characters all in the same page, and you can do a lot of money from it. So even here, if you are a fantasy enthusiast, if you are an anime fan, so an otaku, if you really like cartoons, for example, you can create this kind of character, and since you know what's good, what's not, the lore, maybe the lore around the elf, for example, or you know a lot of different anime and you know exactly what character are cool, what character are not, and so on, you can create something really good with your previous knowledge. To recap, you have to choose realistic or fantasy and go with that. Now, once you have decided which kind of character you want to create, so if it's realistic, if it's fantasy, if it is male, female, genderless, I mean whatever you want, now you have to choose the way that your character interact with the world. And here is a little bit of what kind of monetization path you want to pursue. Let me explain. You can decide if it's safe for work or not safe for work. The main difference is safe for work will monetize just like a regular influencer, so with sponsorship, free products, and so on. The not safe for work will monetize on website like Fanview, for example, selling digital content that is not safe for work. These are the two main area, and you have to decide which one of the two. Or you can go with a mix of the two and have your safe for work page where you post only safe for work and you get maybe some sponsorship, some free product to try and to promote and so on, and another page that is not safe for work where you can sell all your not safe for work content. The strategy here is a bit different and it depends on what you want to go with. Let me explain. If you go with safe for work, you can start there, get sponsorship, get followers, start cranking up the numbers and so on, and then later on you can decide to go with the not safe for work area as well. And so you cover both worlds. But if you decide to start from the get-go with the not safe for work content, it is much more difficult to go on the other direction. So start not safe for work and expand in the safe for work niche, because you will already be tagged like the not safe for work influencer. So if you want to do both, always start with the safe for work. If you don't care and just want to monetize fast, go with the not safe for work from the get-go. Another thing that you have to consider is what you want to do and what interaction do you want with your fans, because depending on the niche that you choose, your interaction with your followers will be much different. I mean, if you go only safe for work, you will interact with what I call the regular people. I mean, people that will look for you and enjoy your content, maybe enjoy the product that you promote, and so on. If you go with a not safe for work model, of course, you will interact with a lot and really a lot of horny guys. So you have to reply to their messages, and of course their messages will be also not safe for work, so you will receive for sure a lot of intimate picture, let's say that way, in your DMs. And you have to take advantage of this kind of behavior and make them spend money on you. So be prepared of it if you are going with the not safe for work niche, because this is just the reality and I want you to be prepared of it. So another key difference between safe for work and not safe for work is how fast you can monetize. Of course, it is slower with the safe for work niche, because you have to create your personal brand, you have to create your digital identity, and you have to generate a lot of followers before starting making money, like any regular influencer. So if you have a fantastic idea and you can generate traction and get followers fast, it is great, but it will take a little bit of time. If you go with the not safe for work model, you will be able to monetize much faster, because of course a lot of people will follow you because your influencer is hot, and you will need less followers to make sales, because of course if you are directly selling not safe for work content, you don't need 100,000 of followers. You just need maybe 1,000 of followers and make them pay you for your not safe for work content. So it is much faster to generate money that way. So you have to decide which way to go, or a mix of both. But always, if you decide to have a mix, always start with the safe for work. Now, you have decided if you want to create a real character or a fantasy character. You have decided if you want to go safe for work, not safe for work, or a mix of the two. What now? Now you have to bring your character to life. So you have to think about the backstory of their character, their feature, their personality, their character. I mean, you have to give life at your creation. Let's start with a backstory. You have to think about a backstory that is coherent and that is aligned with your character style. So if you choose maybe a real character, let's say, you choose a real influencer, she is or he is a gamer, as the example I made before. You want a little backstory on why they like gaming, what's their favorite game, what's their setup, their preference. So if they are a console gamers or a PC gamers, for example, or something in that chord. If you decide to create a sport character, like the example before, you have to create a little backstory on why they like sports, which kind of sports they practice, maybe grow up or in the adult life, and so on. Or if you go in the fantasy route, you have to create a little backstory. Maybe your character is an elf, So you can create that she is or he is the prince of the princess of the elf realm, and they grow up in luxury and so on. Or if your character is an anime style character, you can go with a specific background. So maybe that character is from One Piece, for example, or if your character is from a completely invented world and maybe they have special abilities, they can, I don't know, change the skin color, change their hair color as they want, and so on. So you have to create a little bit of backstory to make your character look more real. Also, you have to decide what feature they have. So the color of their hair, the color of their eyes, if they are muscular, if they are a little bit fat maybe, if they are thin, if they are athletic, for example, and you have to choose their personality. Maybe they are super funny and easy to go, maybe they have a dominant character, maybe they have a dark and mysterious character. You have to choose all these little details to have your characters look more real and to give depth to your character. So at the end of this module, you will have clear if you want to go with a real character, a fantasy character, safe for work, not safe for work, a mix of both, and a little backstory, the style of your character, the personality, and their feature. And of course, if you need help, if you want to brainstorm ideas, you can join the community and we will help you to create the perfect character for your needs.